Welcome to Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day with me, Josh Feigelson. I'm grateful you're here, and I hope you benefit from our time together. I'd like you to complete this phrase. Ready? The lost art of... If you're a baseball fan like me, you might have immediately said bunting. But you also might have said letter writing, or conversation, or customer service, or maybe even something like calligraphy or blacksmithing. Turns out that lost arts have been a thing for a really long time. Socrates complained that people learning to write would mean that they wouldn't remember things. Dude, hold my beer. Have you met AI? In Jewish life, one of the most famous lost arts is tochacha, often translated as rebuke. Today, we might call it delivering negative feedback. It's a mitzvah right there in Leviticus 19:17. But already in the time of the Talmud, the rabbis lamented that no one knew how to properly give it or receive it. So if you feel the same way, you're in good company. As we start episode 8 of our 10-part series on interpersonal or ethical mitzvot, I think this is a super important place to spend some time because I think so many of us struggle with it, both giving negative feedback and accepting it. And our lives would be a lot better if we could do both better. I wonder if you can think of a time when you received negative feedback in a good way. What happened? What did the person delivering the feedback do that made it work? What was it about you and perhaps your relationship that enabled you to hear and accept the feedback? I'll tell you what works for me. And if you want to give me some feedback, take notes. First, I prefer to receive feedback one-on-one and in private, not in a public setting. Why? Because if someone is telling me about how I could have done better in front of other people, it feels like shaming. And among other things, I'm more likely to focus on the feeling of embarrassment than on what they're saying. Second, I prefer to hear about something specific, not a generalization. For instance, a colleague of mine recently did a fantastic job telling me about a specific thing I'd written that caused some pain. It was totally unintentional, and it came about because I just wasn't aware of how the particular words I had chosen could be received by someone with a different experience from mine. My colleague didn't say, "Man, sometimes you say stuff that hurts my feelings." Instead, they said, "You wrote this specific thing, and it caused me to feel this particular way, and here's why." That specificity helps me to learn. That reflects a third and final aspect of feedback giving, which is that over time, I've learned to really value receiving negative feedback. There's a verse in the book of Proverbs that says, "Rebuke a wise person and they'll love you." I'm not going to call myself a wise person, but I certainly try to live like one. As a mentor of mine once told me, every complaint is a gift. It's how we become aware, how we learn, how we improve. So if you want to become a wise person, it seems like learning how to embrace negative feedback is key. If you want to do a better job delivering tochacha, there are lots of articles out there to read. And yes, you can just ask AI about best practices for negative feedback, and it will probably give you a good guide. So for our practice today, I want to focus more on how we can welcome tochacha and learn from it. To do this, you'll need a quiet place, which could be sitting, but also could be walking on your own. Just some place where you can really be attentive and not distracted. Begin with a few good, deep breaths. Try to calm your body, calm your mind. With each exhalation, see if you can bring a little more relaxation and settling. And now I want to bring us back to something we worked on at the beginning of this series. Reminding yourself that you are made b'tselem Elohim, in the divine image. You are absolutely unique. You are infinitely valuable, and you are equal to everyone else. As you breathe in, imagine yourself imbibing that sensation, taking in that godliness. As you breathe out, imagine that you're blessing other human beings with the same thing, the same divinity. In and out. In and out. Now, imagine that someone you know and trust is coming to tell you about something you did that caused some harm. It wasn't your intention. It was just something you didn't know or weren't aware of. Maybe you feel a little resistance mounting, a little defensiveness, because you feel like on some level they're attacking you. Now see if you could let that defensiveness soften a bit. Maybe set down that feeling of distrust, because you know they're coming to help you to be better. They're telling you this so you can be wiser, so you can be even more the image of God that you inherently are. How does that feel? Maybe now the feedback doesn't feel like a threat, but feels more like an opportunity, a gift even. Because that's what tochacha can be, a gift. The most precious gift of all, maybe. The gift of becoming aware, of becoming even more who we know ourselves to be. Blessings for the journey. Know that I'm on it with you. Thank you for joining us for Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day, a production of Unpacked, a brand of OpenDor Media, and the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. This episode is sponsored by Jonathan and Corey Califer and the Somerset Patriots, the Bridgewater, New Jersey-based AA affiliate of the New York Yankees, and by Rebecca Halpern, in loving memory of her father, Richard, and her mother, Maddie, at the conclusion of the first 30 days of mourning since she passed away. May their memories be a blessing. If you like Soulful Jewish Living, please subscribe, share this episode with a friend, and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Check out our website, Unpacked.media, for everything Unpacked related, and subscribe to our other podcasts, and check out the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. Most importantly, be in touch about what you heard today, what you'd like to hear more about, or to dedicate an episode. Write to me at josh@unpacked.media. This episode was hosted by me, Rabbi Josh Feigelson. Audio was edited by Rob Pera, and were produced by Rifki Stern. Thanks for joining us.